Hi, everyone. Welcome to DomainSherpa. Today is a special show that we're doing in advance of the upcoming domain auction at NamesCon Online, which is taking place from September 22nd to September 24th. The domain auction itself is happening at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, September 23rd, and you don't want to miss it. So for this show, we've got Monte, Cahn, and Scott Pruitt from RightOfTheDot, who join Josh and I to discuss the specifics of the event and go over a whole bunch of domains that are available in the auction. It's going to be a great event and a terrific auction, so tune in now to find out all about it here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, aka JT, aka Jay On, and I am the host and producer of DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today, we got a special show with some special guests that I'm super excited about. So this is not our typical down the rabbit hole or DomainSherpa review, but instead, this is a special show focused on the NamesCon auction that is coming up very soon here on the third week of September. So by the time this show airs, probably about September 20th. So within a few days of this show, the auction is going to be taking place. So we're going to try to get you guys all up to speed and ready to go so that you're ready to participate and make some things happen in what should be one of the best online domain auctions that we've seen in a while. So with that, let me go ahead and do my intros. I'm going to go in order, starting from my right. We got my man, Josh Reason, aka Bjorn Borg, aka Harry Kane, co-host of many of these DomainSherpa shows. He's also the host. Yeah, he's also the host of the Digital Fortune podcast here on the DomainSherpa Network. And, my homie here also in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, where we're bringing it to you live. This is what we do. Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I was thinking today about maybe, getting a show going again. It's been like 2 months and I've just been like, I don't know, but I got some good feedback when I tweeted about domains for the first time in like 2 months, and I got the feels. So maybe I'll get back into it.
Well, like I said, you're excused because you literally co-host like every show that we do now. So
Drew's not here. Like he's just like indirectly just been like,
yeah. He's like, Josh, you got it covered.
Josh is the new Drew.
Yes, Josh is the new Drew. There we go.
Sorry, Drew.
Hey, it's all good. Josh just coming off his birthday, man. Happy birthday, Josh. So it's all good.
Thank you.
No cake and candles, but we can maybe have them added. Billy, go ahead. Throw a cake up on the screen. Again, we say this on every show too. We do a lot of cool stuff in post-production now. So if you're only listening to the shows, that's great. We appreciate it. But there's definitely additional content when you actually watch the videos live. So not just our pretty faces, but you get to see some of the cool stuff we do in post-production. And we're going to do some pretty cool stuff here, highlighting some of the domains and things we're going to be talking about in advance of the auction. So with that, let me continue. I'm going to keep going in the circle. So down to my lower right, we got my man, Scott Pruitt, aka Charlie Davidson. Let me explain why. So normally I would go with Charlie Harper from 2.5 Men because folks who and Scott, you're wearing a t-shirt today, but more often than not, you rock the Charlie Sheen, bowler shirts. And at least when you worked with me at NameJet, when we worked together for years, that was like your everyday, which I love that you had your signature style. So that's the Charlie piece tied into Davidson because I know you got your bike, you bike to work, all that good stuff. And so Charlie Davidson, or we could go off the Charlie Sheen thing, Charlie Meme, because for those of you who don't know, Scott is a marketing maven who is very slick with banners and GIFs or GIFs, whatever you want to call them. You call them GIFs or GIFs, dude? What do you call them?
Yes.
Well played. Speaking of which, AKA Jif Christofferson. You know what I'm saying? Jif Christofferson. And so Scott and I worked together for years when we worked at NameJet, and a lot of great memories, and did a lot of great work, made a lot of money. So, man, appreciate having you on the show so we can get cracking talking about this auction because now you're doing this stuff. We'll talk more about that. But at the moment, thank you for being here.
It's great to be back online with you, JT. I remember the last time we did something like this was when we were hosting the Domain Masters podcast.
That's right. Which
Monty incidentally founded.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, let's go. So you know what? That's a great segue. So last but certainly not least, Mr. Monty Cahn, aka Monty Hall. Let's make a motherfucking deal, aka Richard Dawson. Welcome to the shit show. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
like
love
it.
it.
AKA James Cahn. You know what I'm saying? So I get to play the Cahn thing. My
How about
dude is
Shaka Khan?
Shaka Khan, aka Shaka Khan. I
I
like
can't
it.
wait to see the graphic that comes up for that one.
Oh, we got.
You have
You
to
got-
show the shocker, and only a few people know what that is.
Oh, I don't think we're going to go there because we've got sponsors that would not approve. But what we will say is don't Google it. Instead,
Everybody's
you know,
doing it.
instead, just go to NamesCon.online because that's what we're here today for. So, Scott, Monty, thank you for being here. First of all, I just want to say thanks. I appreciate you guys jumping on.
Well, thanks for having us, and love doing the Sherpa show. I've done Sherpa for many, many years when our boy Siger ran it, and
That's right.
as you mentioned, when you guys used to run the Domain Master show, that was something we created back in 2004 or something. You know,
That's
it was
right.
It was the first domain show that was broadcasted online. It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and I remember you used to have folks like not just the domain folks, but I think didn't you have Matt Cutts from Google one time on the show? And I mean, you had some really cool, got some really, really great content. And yeah, so for the folks who don't know, this isn't our first foray into this. I mean, Domain Masters is a podcast. There's still episodes. You can go back and check them out. Monty and then Mike Birkins and a lot of the old school guys. That's part of why I gave you the Monty Hall, Richard Dawson, James Cahn trifecta. You know, you're like an old school OG. And, you started that. That was on webmaster.fm radio and, online radio anyway. And then Scott and I took it over when I took over running NameJet, and Scott was working with me there. And we used to have you on that show. And then we used to run the auctions together at NamesCon. So a lot of good stuff, man. This is us getting the band back together.
We're getting the band back together again.
That's right.
And there's more bands we played.
That's right. That's right. So with that, let's talk about it. So we've got NamesCon Online coming up here. So for the folks need to go check it out at NamesCon, NAMESCON.com or .online. And you can see, so the conference, it's an online conference that most folks in the domain space are aware of, but it's happening from September 22nd to September 24th. And basically a who's who of everybody in the domain investor space or just the domain space in general. So everything from big supporters and sponsors like the GoDaddies and the VeriSigns, all the way down to individual domain investors who do very, very well investing in domains. We say on DomainSherpa, all roads lead to domains, under this umbrella of digital assets, domains, the original NFTs, although Drew wouldn't exactly agree with that statement, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to hash that out without him being here to defend himself. So he can't give his wrong position. So instead we'll just have to accept that I'm correct. Domains, the original NFTs, digital assets for the win. And, and it's going to be a super, super exciting event. They've been a blast in person. Usually they've been in Vegas. They were in the most recent one was in Austin, Texas. COVID's kind of jammed it up. Hopefully this is the last one we'll see online for a while, but they've done a very, very good job of translating the live experience to the online. Credit to the team that runs NamesCon and all the technical folks. So, but the marquee event at any NamesCon, as those who know, is the domain auction. So, and this is something that when we ran NameJet, we supported for years and had some awesome times and some incredible sales and some memorable, experiences for sure. And, we won't have the benefit of the bar and the open bar and the food, but
there is an open bar at everybody's house.
There you go. And Monty will have the bourbon flowing with his
It's a lot
spot.
cheaper for me.
Yeah. So let's talk. So when is the, so just then finally, last piece of context is, it's a ton of really great high quality domain names, some available for the first time, some available at prices they've never been available for, low to no reserves for certain names, and, some really, really amazing opportunities. So let's go through all the detail about the logistics, and then we're going to talk about specific names and all that good stuff. So which one of you guys wants to kind of kick off? When is the actual auction taking place?
I'll take that one. So we're going to be doing it on September 23rd, and it's going to be at 3:00 Eastern time. And we're going to be broadcasting from a live studio in South Florida.
All right.
So if you've gone and visited the RightOfTheDot YouTube channel, you can see an event that we did in a similar way back in February, where we had Wayne Wheat, who is our world-class, world champion auctioneer, and does a great job. I mean, when you watch the video, you can't really tell that there's not a huge audience out there holding up paddles and a lot of excitement going on, because that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
we'll be doing something very similar, different kind of studio setup this time. So it won't have the exact same look, but it'll be very cool. It'll be a live experience. And to participate, you don't have to be registered for NamesCon, although we do recommend that you do. But in order to participate, you actually have to sign up at an auction website that we've set up, and it's at ROTD.hibid, and that's spelled HIBID.com, ROTD.hibid.com. And there you have to register in order to be able to place bids in the auction. Now,
Cool.
from our YouTube channel or from NamesCon, you can watch, but you can't bid from there. You have to be on that website to be able to place a bid.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we'll throw up the URL. We'll put it on the DomainSherpa page as well, and all that good stuff, and help direct people to where they got to go. All right, cool. So you sign up for an account. What about verification in order to bid over a certain amount? Is there any kind of process for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, everyone who signs up has to sign up with a credit card. And we will approve you up to $2,000 in bidding based on that. After that, we'll do a verification if you want to bid on anything higher.
Okay. All right, cool. So that's what's up. So
this time there might be deposits due based off the names people are bidding on, and so that'll be handled on a case-by-case basis.
okay.
So some of the higher price names, we might require a deposit similar to what some of the larger auction houses are doing as well.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, and we recommend that people get registered well in advance of the actual event, because it's going to be a mad crush of people trying to sign up and register. Those people that sign up with credit cards will be able to participate up to 2,000, but if they're after a high-flying name, we don't want them to miss their opportunity because they didn't get verified.
Sure. Well, yeah, and this show I think is going to air on the 20th. So if you're listening to this show now, that means go to the site now and get registered. So at least get registered for the sub, 2000 or, and the first tier, but really you want to get the full certification, because there's some really good names here. So, all right, cool. Well, let's, so you guys are going to be in the studio. Is Wayne going to be there as well? Is he going to be in the studio with y'all?
Yep. Wayne's flying in on the 22nd, and so, yeah, he'll be in the studio with us, and he's also bringing his lovely assistant, Carrie, who helped us with our last auction. And so we'll have the live event live from a broadcast studio, just like we're broadcasting live right now.
Yeah. So is he bringing the dude from February that was in the Hawaiian shirt?
Lab is, I don't know where he is. He's probably gonna be out fishing somewhere. So
that guy was
we'll have to do our own props for that.
That guy was
all that spot.
Maybe I should jump in with one of my Hawaiian shirts.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, the fact that you're wearing just a regular t-shirt, I'm like, man, I messed up my AKAs, man. You might have to step in like, dude. So, all right, cool. So then, so the 23rd, 3 p.m. Eastern, rotd.hibid.com, get registered, set up, and then that's the way it's going to roll. So then when you're actually watching the auction, so you can follow along on Hibid. Will Hibid have video if you don't, or like, how do you see the actual auction? So you can see it through the app?
Yeah, you'll be able to see the production of the auction on the YouTube site and on the NamesCon site.
Okay.
On the Hibid website, you'll have an interface that will allow you to place bids, and there will be a window within that that's also showing what's happening in the studio.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, in full disclosure, so I'm going to be emceeing track 1 of the NamesCon conference. So, I'll be involved in helping getting that kind of kicked off, and with Elizabeth from the I2 Coalition, and so we're looking forward to that. So still kind of pinning down some of the rehearsal stuff to see the flow of that, but I know based on the way we've done it in the past, I mean, we did the Red Zone show during the last auction, which we actually, and then we did the clubhouse room too during, which was a lot of fun. So, we'll definitely be in the mix and following along, and probably bidding on a handful of names as well. I know we picked up a few last time, and some good stuff. So looking forward to that.
What did you guys pick up last time, JT?
Well, so I know post auction we got maskup.com.
I remember that one.
And then we ended up flipping it like literally that week. We made some money, but there was some folks who really kind of made a good case for it, and so
it sounds like a media option thing to do.
So that worked out pretty good.
Just a bunch of flippers over there. Just a bunch of flippers.
Just a bunch of flippers.
Hey,
paper hands.
Yeah, exactly. Paper hands. Hey, look, if the price is right, man, I got paper planes, son.
Hey,
So
that's part of a great thing about our auctions is that I haven't talked to anybody that's ever lost money on a domain name in our auction. So
all right, that's fair. Yeah, I mean that's
names is always appreciated in value.
Yeah, well, I think domains in general continue to appreciate in value. And we say it all the time. Look, I mean, your mileage may vary, but at the end of the day, when you're buying a name, don't buy it for more than you think it's worth. And if you get a name that you think is for a good price based on doing the right amount of research, should present a good opportunity. So, and we literally, I don't know. I don't want to get into too much of the detail. I don't know what I'm allowed to disclose, but I know, again, we definitely made money and held on to that name for like less than a week. So it was not a bad deal. So, although, I was at the time, I'm like, we should develop this name. We should build it out, and Drew's like, you talk about developing one more domain and you're out of here, like that's just like allergic to that. Yep. And so it's all good. So speaking of which, let's get into the list. So do you guys want to, this we can kind of treat like the way we handle our name jet stuff, where we just go through and talk about ones that we think, based on the reserve and just generally what we think are some of the ones that are special. You guys can highlight ones that you like. And Scott, you can, like we talked about, send me some of the, some of those GIFs, those GIFs, the GIFs.
Like I said, I've got quite a few of them already created. And what we'll do is any that get mentioned on the show, I'll be right after this making some.
Send along, and then Billy will throw them up as we go, so folks will get the benefit of seeing your masterwork. And so which is cool. See, it's like, man, the band is back together, man, making sweet music. So all right, so I'm looking at this list. There's a ton of great stuff, but what do you guys, you got any ones you want to highlight right here off of the jump, or what do you want to do?
Yeah. So one thing that we consistently do at these auctions is we have really top end, high quality digital assets and real estate. So some of the best names that are available in the space, best search terms, top tier domain names in their classes. So names like automobile.com. Now that did show up in a previous auction, but the reserve is a little bit less. But with the automobile industry being so huge right now and shortage of cars, both used and new, it's a pretty big name because it's something that's about to explode. Lie.com, that's LIE.com, which not only has meaning in English but also in Chinese means good luck.
I didn't know that.
So that's a really great name, great 3-letter name, and definitely worth it. MAM is another one, MAM. A repeater with MAM, 2 M's, and is a dictionary term. Sweepstakes.com, which is huge, obviously, and getting bigger. All the brand sweepstakes that are happening across the web and also online and on commercials. It's one of our top names. Political.com, and right now we're in a very political environment, so it couldn't be more appropriate to have political.com. Both the RNC and DNC have expressed interest in that name, so it's good to have something like that in the coffer. So hopefully we can bring them to the table and start bidding. We also have democratic.com, which is a related name in the same space. I'm sure Scott has his own, but getting back to the auto industry, we have autoloans.com.
Yeah, I love that name. Is that and I'm just looking to see. So reserve over 100K, but yeah, obviously a fantastic domain name.
Yeah. Celebrities.com is huge name. That's never been available for sale before. Fighting.com. We have rye.com, RYE.com.
Are you going to be bidding on that one yourself?
Well, I'm a bourbon lover. I do like rye, but I like more bourbon than I do rye.
Fair
enough. It is a great name. We have seminars.com, truckleasing.com, lodges.com, blackpower.com. Names like that. And then we have some awesome no reserve names. So phonecharger.com is at no reserve. Boardapes.info, no reserve.
You're trying to
treasure. You're
trying to tap into the board. You want to talk about the Board Apes? Should we talk about the BAYC? Is that what
hey, if you want info about it, if somebody wants to develop a page about it, that's a great name to have it. Boardapes.info. We have pagesearch.com, all no reserve, scapegoats, Free Cosmetics, Mask.biz.
All right, well, let's slow down because I don't want to just rattle off the whole. But I mean, obviously, there's a ton of great names here. All right, so Josh, looking at this list, man, what do you think? Like, you want to pick out a couple here on either the no reserve or the premium side? I mean, they're all premium, but the no reserve or the other side, the reserve side, and highlight a few.
Yeah, I've highlighted a few here. On the reserve side, I highlighted localnews.com. Reserve over 25 grand. So I'm assuming that it's less than 100, which I feel like that's a good name. That sounds like a reasonable reserve price. I do have a question actually. When you say reserve over 100, what's the cap on that? Does it go like up to 500, or is it definitely under 500K, or are you not allowed to say?
Or, well, is there a threshold above 100, or is that it? It's over 100, or?
Because I'm sure it's definitely over 100. It's just,
there's some seven-figure names on the list, of course. So
got it.
So yes, there is. I think what I mean, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong. You threw the list together. We threw the list together, and you just made it easy to you weren't going to highlight the things that are over $500,000, but there's obviously some big names that are in the $500,000 range.
Will it say that in the auction? Like when people are bidding, will they know if it's over 500, or is the top threshold going to be 100? I know you've kind of played with that in the past. It's just kind of interesting.
You know what? I've done this for so long. It's people say, well, you should put a range on there, and then what you're doing is you're kind of putting in a in a category of what somebody might think is overpaying for a name that might be more valuable than what the category it's in. Because one of the things that I try to do, as everybody knows, is I try to get really good names at low reserves compared to what they're worth. Now, I'm not saying every name on the list is lower than what it's worth, but we do feel that everything on the list is at least what it's worth, or has potentially to be worth more. But when you try to say, okay, this name's between $100,000 and $500,000, and if somebody pays $600,000 for it, do they feel like they overpaid for it? And so, as an auctioneer, as a licensed auctioneer, it has done hundreds of live auctions and thousands of online auctions. I believe that it's hard to, put that category around it. Although a lot of people like to find out what they need for a budget to able to bid for it. So what I do in this process this time through the auction is I'll start contacting folks that have expressed interest in the names through pre-bidding. And by the way, pre-bidding is open right now at rotd.highbid.com. And as you guys know, the pre-bidding gives us a lot of indication about what names are going to kind of float up to the top into the live event.
And I think that's an important piece too. Let's talk about that, because I've worked with you on that process before, and I don't think people really understand some of that, but that, early bidding on these names could dictate whether or not a name will be placed into the live auction, or will just end up in the extended auction, because not every name is going to get selected.
Or be pulled out of the extended auction.
Yeah.
Something gets zero interest and it's kind of a mediocre name. As you know, I hand select these names myself. I eyeball them myself. It doesn't go through. There's no automatic engine out of this. We get tens of thousands of submissions. And I use gut and experience from 29 years of doing this, and $560 million worth of domain sales experience, and select the names that I think are the best for the auction. And we've always had a sell-through rate of above 50%, which is pretty good for a live event. And then the extended auction is between the 25 and 30% range. And so that's also good too. And then we have all these after auction activities and sales afterwards.
Sure. Yeah.
So when I ran Snap Names, as you know, which was a NameJet competitor, I turned that Snap Name system into a pre-bidding system prior to our live auction, so that we can use it as an indication of interest. And it helped us determine what names made it to the live event. Mm-hmm. So if we have 100 people expressing interest in a particular name, that means potentially up to 100 people might be bidding on it. And if we have real bids, and also this process also makes a lot of names go over reserve. So as the bidding keeps going in pre-bidding, we automatically know that, 20 names hit reserve already. Like half of these, almost all these no reserve names that are really good are going to be over reserve, because the first bid is going to be at reserve. Yep. And in this case, our no reserve names opening bid will be at $500. So even though it says no reserve, the opening bid will be $500. So at $500 for a no reserve name, you're in the money. Yep. Right there. You have a winning bid, and it can just increase from there. You can have $1 million name listed at no reserve.
Yeah, sure.
In competition. And that's what I try and encourage, is super premium names at no and low reserve so that it inspires the most competitive activity. And therefore a true market price is determined at the end of the day that yes, there was competition. There was more than one bidder. There is 5 or 10 bidders on these names. And therefore the market determined what the value in that price is.
Yeah.
So
and I
that's
think
about pre-bidding.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. So some people could say, playing devil's advocate, then if they really want a name, they might not want to try to push it up so that it kind of hopefully sneaks through extended. But, what I could tell you is, just knowing the way this works, you probably have a better chance of getting a name at a price that, the sellers are going to be most motivated to sell in the moment of the live, that's why you're always kind of wheeling and dealing in the middle of the live auction, because, you get the sellers to drop the reserve like in the moment. And then it's like, okay, cool. Now, it's actually going to sell. So, because I think there's some game theory and stuff around that too. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, the good names are going to sell, especially if they're priced right. And, you're not going to want to miss your opportunity. And you could conceivably, we've seen a few bids kind of sneak through where somebody puts in that bid that's over reserve. It gets into the live auction. And, and you could take it with that bid. And if you don't have it in there and you wait and you miss it and, you're not like paying attention, it's like, it moves fast. The room moves fast. And,
it moves fast, but it takes a while, especially when there's more than one bidder competing on a domain name, that extends each lot, which makes it exciting. And that's what the whole purpose is. So, we're not going to have 130 names in the auction this time, like we did last auction. We're going to, I'm shooting for around 75 to 80 names. So that we're going to operate in a shorter time frame and have good mix of no reserve premium names and names, obviously with reserve. The pre-bidding of those names are going to help determine what's going to float to the top versus what's going to be the extended auction. The extended auction doesn't mean you're going to get the name cheaper. Because what happens is that just gives us extra time to market, and there's more interest that comes in the extended auction also.
That's
so
fair.
We operate just like Christie's and Sotheby's does. It's the same type of auction format.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. So Josh, let's
the two most valuable names on there for me, like without any shadow of a doubt, are autoloans.com and nutrition.com. For me, those are the two like massive standouts. And it's not just the fact that they're great names. They represent obviously massive sectors. So I love those names. I think that, for me, those are clearly 7-figure names. From like a no reserve standpoint, there's a couple that I've got highlighted. I like SaveMoney.com. Obviously, I think SaveMoney.com is by far the best one there. That's no reserve. It's just, obviously, that's a phenomenal name.
Huge name. And I don't know if anybody saw this, but Hilco, you familiar with Hilco, the auction company, Hilco, that does
Hilco.
Oh yeah,
of course.
They just sent out a memorandum about savemoney.co.uk that's going for auction on their site. So of course I reached out to them.
Oh really?
Yeah. So here you have a name that's worth a fraction of what savemoney.com would be going up in their public auction, and that they feel is extremely valuable. And of course everybody wants to save money, and it's a huge keyword, huge term. So, and we got it at no reserve, which is really good.
Yeah.
Knowing that one's no reserve is just, that's going to go for a lot, I would say.
Yeah. And I think, and we've seen it too. On both doing the live auctions and just NameJet in general, when names don't have a reserve, you end up with like, a much more activity, which then leads to potentially higher sales prices. We had names that we listed at, high reserves, and then they didn't hit reserve. And then we'd list them later at no reserve, and then they would go well above the original reserve, And so, and I think that for the no reserve names, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here. To me, it's probably more in some of the big, look, there's some fantastic big ticket names, no question. And I think that especially as we're seeing the domain market heating up now, we're at the end of the summer, we're moving into, to the time of the year where, activity gets really, really, sort of busy. And, we're seeing that now. And so I think timing wise, this is going to be great. Digital assets in general are on fire.
People, JT, I hate to interrupt, but like people right now that I'm talking to, they just don't even want to sell their domains because it's just, they see all these other digital assets like, NFT is selling for millions of dollars. And then they get like an inquiry on a name and someone's offering them 150K, and it doesn't just doesn't feel right anymore. You know,
Yeah, it doesn't.
this is worth so much more than 150K.
Sure, it doesn't
or
hit the
whatever it
same.
might be.
When you know, when people are literally spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on JPEGs of like, and I mean, because we talk about a lot about utility with certain NFTs and whether or not, you know, it's the, you know, these prices are just, they get pretty crazy. And, you know, this goes back to everything I was saying about domain names being the original NFTs, and in a lot of ways more valuable than the JPEG stuff, because, you know, the utility that's behind a domain name. I mean, you can't get, I mean, these are literally millions of dollars in marketing budgets are satisfied or covered under the purchase of a good quality domain name. So it's like, you know, the fact is they're like a business in a box. I mean, it's that simple. And, you know, so, and people recognize that. And I think you're right. You've got more diamond hands on the selling side of domain names lately because, you know, they, and but the people that need them, you know, companies, big companies, startups, everything else, you know, now, but if they want them, that they got to pay for them. And, you know, so it's, you know, it's good. It's overall, it's great for the industry. It's about time. You know, we say it all the time. I mean, domains naturally just kind of appreciated in value, you know, in general, but over time. But I think now sort of this digital asset renaissance, you know, is serving domains well. And I think hopefully we'll see it in this auction.
Get money.
Media Options is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, Media Options offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. Media Options believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
So what I was saying though, but about the, so you've got some fantastic reserve names, no question. But some of these no reserve names, man, I mean, you know, high capacity, buriedtreasure.com. I mean, there's some really
CryptoReporter.com is a good name.
Which one?
CryptoReporter.com.
Oh yeah, Crypto Reporter.
Webproperty.com, good name. Realestateclasses.com.
The
FloridaProperties.com.
a couple right out of Monty's portfolio, findpornos.com and russianwife.com. So not to mention
they go hand in hand.
Not to mention on the other side, you've got boner.com at a $25,000 or higher reserve.
Yeah,
so,
we do have a couple of adult names in there that are really kick-ass adult names. And
oh yeah. Hey, look, we sold
always had some great adult inventory in there. And
yeah. Well, shout out to Vito. I mean, we sold boobs. Was it boobs.com or, you know, at one of the Vegas auctions. And I mean, those, you know, there've been adult.
We have boobs.net in this one, don't we, Scott? It's not on the sheet though, is it? We have boobs.net, I think.
There you go.
Looking. So we have it in this auction as well.
But yeah, so I think it's going to be no question, you know, some really, really cool stuff that I think, you know, creates interesting opportunities for folks who are going to be involved. So, all right. Yeah. I'm just continuing to look through the list just to see what else we got. Sweetkicks.com. I like on the no reserve side.
I mean, real estate classes is a sleeper because it's got really high search volume, and I don't know what the cost per click is, but I'm assuming it's pretty decent as well. So That's a good name.
Let me so we're kind of looking at this in real time. What about you, Scott?
We have some new TLDs that are on here too that are really good, like cheap.land. So karate.expert, you know, some really good linguistically flowing new TLDs that make a lot of sense on the list as well.
Yeah. So, and let's clarify. So all of those are at standard, you know, renewal rates and everything for any of the new GTLD domains.
There's no premium renewals considered premium, you know, like above $100 premium stuff.
Got it. Okay,
so
cool.
It's all whatever So it's regular renewal rates, whatever their regular rate is. Sometimes it's higher than $15 or $30, but
sure,
that's what the renewal is.
If you're buying a .land.com or a .land domain name, you should you know, have a sense of what the standard renewal rate is, right? If you know.
Just to one of the other really good names on this list is top.jobs. So top.jobs. So
like
.jobs has been around for a little while. And we just had a pre-auction sale yesterday. So I'm going to announce it because it's not going to air until next week anyway. But we just sold ETH for Ethereum.
Yeah.
Jobs for $25,000.
Oh, boom. Nice.
Boom.
ETH.jobs. Boom. Well,
Jobs for
Ethereum
$25,000.
ETH just sells, and it doesn't matter what extension. If you've got ETH dot something, you're selling it. Did you see Mark, Domain Theory Mark? He posted on Twitter, like the ETH dot names that he sold. He sold like ETH dot photo, ETH dot photography, ETH dot like truck. And it was just, I was like, what?
well, ETH.club just sold for like 25 or 30,000. They literally just announced that yesterday. So ETH.club.
So it's in that range, and you haven't heard of a .jobs name selling at that price. So matter of fact, one of our clients is the registry. And so they're like, hey, that's one of our top sales, which is really good. And it's a great right of the dot extension. If you think about it, a lot of the left of the dot go with it. And, no one's really paid attention to it, but it's not going anywhere and it's getting more valuable. And, in a growing job market, especially now that all the benefits are going away, it's going to be a popular thing.
Well, yeah. And I think that this goes back to the drum that we beat all the time when we're on our, down the rabbit hole shows. Shout out to the rabbit hole gang, by the way. And, is that some of the domain traditionalists, get a little bit bent out of shape when we talk about NFTs and things like that, or crypto, but it's like, but you see the impact that these spaces and industries have on the domain market, right? So if you're not paying attention, you're missing out on a ton of opportunities. Anybody who's been sleeping on everything that's been happening with crypto and NFTs wouldn't be aware of what ETH even is, or ETH, and those that do went and registered a bunch of names and probably made six figures selling some collection of these domains over the course of the last couple of weeks. So
they are really married together. So you're right, JT, no matter what Andrew says, is that the domain name was the original digital asset.
There you go. Yeah, no. His thing is just that his thing is whether or not a domain name is actually an NFT, like a non-fungible token, not so much that they're not tied together. I mean, he's very much bangs that drum about whether, the fact that they're all under the collective umbrella of digital assets. I mean, we have digitalassets.com. I mean, that's a name in our portfolio. So, but, so anyway, so with all that, and then just continuing to look at a few more of these names, metaphors.com on the reserve side is interesting because it's one of the ones with this lower reserve threshold. Although I guess use of that might be kind of challenging, but you've got counselors and nicknames in that same lower sort of range, along with express check,
electric motorcycles,
autopsies, and
huge popular category that's becoming more popular, like electric vehicles, electric cars.
Yep, and that's a reserve over 25,000. So that's in the range, along with freebook.com, wirelessphone.com, as well as a few others, slips.com in that range, restaurants.org, telemarketers.com, gunshops.com, wisconsin.org, hormonetherapy.com, truckleasing.com, lodges.com, and blackpower.com are all in that same oregon.org as well too. So, and inhalants.com. I mean, obviously there's a crazy amount of inventory here and a ton of great domains.
There's even more inventory online. We just picked out, some top names. So
yeah. Oh, and also on the no reserve side. So Florida Properties is cool. And that's out Team Games, Gourmet Foods. I mean, a lot of cool two-word.com domains that could be utilized pretty easily to turn into something. Poolgames.com. There's definitely, I just love going through these domains lists, man, and just seeing. I'm excited to see how this all goes. And, once the auction kicks off, this is going to be.
I got your favorite one as a no reserve. I know you're going to be all over it bidding on it, which is potcocktail.com.
Potcocktail.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that. Yeah.
You've always tried to order one when we're in Vegas, and then nobody ever has it, and then you just have your own.
Hey, man, I don't know what you're talking about, man. All I know is if you haven't been to ganjapreneur.com recently, definitely get over to ganjapreneur.com. It's the #1 blog for the cannabis space, which is also one of our sister companies over here at Media Options. And they do some pretty cool stuff as far as promoting everything that's going on in the cannabis space.
We have bloody marijuana. So like Bloody Mary, but a marijuana, Bloody Marijuana. That's up there.com.
Bloody marijuana. Yeah, that's like
Bloody marijuana.
All right. Yeah. So that's a little bit more of a stretch, but I could definitely see that being on a, on a like a menu at a cafe in Amsterdam or something.
Of course.
And
or here in Florida soon.
yeah, hey, we'll see. Right, we're approved for medical. So,
Yep.
anyway, yeah.
And-
So what about you, Scotty? What do you think? Anything else you want to draw attention to as far as names that you've been living in this list, and pull yourself off mute.
You're on mute, baby.
I'll read lips and see what you're saying. Oh,
He's not on mute. That's even worse.
all right. What he's saying, just so everyone knows, is that he doesn't know which names are the best, but he thinks that DomainSherpa is without question the best podcast in the domain space. So I think that's what I think he's saying. And that's what I can tell based on.
Never get that microphone thing right.
Yeah. So all good. So, all right, cool. So the auction is taking place. Let's go through some reminders just to kind of level set for everybody, reset the room, if you will. So again, September 23rd, what day of the week is that?
Thursday. Is it?
Is it? Yeah. I mean, let's get confident. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, Monty.
That'd be a Thursday.
Thursday. I like it. All right.
Thursday. 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
3 p.m. Eastern time. And you guys are going to be live down in the studio, the live auction studio with Wayne Wheat, auctioneer extraordinaire. I mean, he's literally an award-winning auctioneer. It's so neat for anybody who hasn't seen that and Wayne do his thing. That's like super cool. I remember the first time I had a buddy of mine who was in the auction business. So I got to see a little bit of that, but there was more like furniture and, kind of that, American Roadshow or whatever, what was it? Right. What's the show?
Is it? Well, not American Pickers, but when they go around and they're selling furniture and trying to pick up stuff.
Yeah.
See the auctioneers.
Antique Roadshow.
Antique Roadshow.
Antique Roadshow. And there's Storage Wars too, where they're doing auctions. Right.
Oh yeah. Well, and they got that guy who's like, yeah, or what? We watched that for like.
Back his voice. He's off mute.
Are you back, Scott?
I'm back, actually. Yeah, and I do have some names that I like that nobody mentioned.
He's
Okay.
back in black. Look, with his black t-shirt too. Back in black. That's blackpower.com right there.
Yeah, Black Power. I like, yeah.
Well, you get a little bit of feedback on your mic, but go ahead. We'll try and filter that out in post-production. Go ahead. Give us your list, man. What do you like?
Yeah, well, a lot of the names were already called out that I like, but one of the ones that didn't get mentioned, which I was surprised, was 5GG. That's a trending GTLD that I think is going to start taking off in the same way that .io did,
Sure.
particularly in this game space, that whole good game thing. And this
Yep,
is
yep.
a single.
GG. I mean, even when my kids play a game like, football, basketball, or whatever, and they're doing the high fives, they all say GG. And obviously they use it in chats and everything else for all these gamers. And, gaming is also like one of these sort of forward facing spaces and industries all tied in to, everything we're talking about, the digital assets. I mean, gaming is huge, both from a betting standpoint, but also from a competition standpoint. A lot of these NFT projects are based on the premise that eventually there'll be games that'll be tied to the NFTs and you'll be able to use your avatars and things in these games to be developed. So yeah, without a doubt, it's a CCTLD that is gaining in popularity, .gg, and it's 5.gg, and the reserve is under 5,000. So
Yeah, I think
If it was .ggg, we'd have a problem because Greg McNair would register all the names.
yeah, triple G, man. Shout out to Triple G. He's got a good haircut. So no, that's all good. All right, what else you got?
Well, one of the ones that got called out that I really liked was electric motorcycles. And the reason for that is electric motorcycles really this year and in the last year and a half or so have been really trending in terms of new products coming out. Harley Davidson has come out with a new electric motorcycle. Some of the other major motorcycle manufacturers are trying to come up with some competitive models. And there's new startup companies that are doing nothing but electric motorcycles that haven't started rolling off the production line yet. So this is like perfectly timed for a brand new emerging market. So I think that's a great name.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I mean, it's and very much to your point, you've got traditional car companies that are all trying to compete with Tesla, coming out with their electric vehicles, maybe not just necessarily to compete with Tesla, but just to introduce that into the market. Look at what Ford's doing, right? They've got the new F-150 Lightning, the Mustang, as well as, all being released in electric versions. I would have bought a Lightning. I just bought a Tesla actually, but I would have considered getting the Lightning, but you can't even get them. They're not even coming out for like, it's like they did the announcement and then now it's like, hurry up and wait, now you're just kind of waiting for them to finally come out. But agreed, man. I mean, I think that is absolutely, and that's one of the important things about domaining. We talk about it all the time. It's like, it's sort of similar to the NFT sort of analogy where, it's really at the forefront, and getting out ahead of certain trends creates a lot of value opportunities with domain names for sure. So yeah, I would agree, man. I like that one a lot as well. Reserves over 25,000, but that means it's under 100,000. So I think that one is priced right or priced well. So I think that's another good one to call out. What else? You got any others on your list?
I really like boardapes.info.
All right.
I think there's a lot of potential for that name. People looking for a term that's trending have a hard time finding something that's trending as much as Bored Apes are trending right now, right?
Sure.
And even with a .info, which is not necessarily the best GTLD, it's very descriptive. You want to know about Bored Apes, then now you have a place you can go and find out what is all this buzz about, and creating an information site on there would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's teed up perfectly for that. I mean, obviously, I've got 2 Bored Apes in my, my squad, and our whole NFT crew, the Rabbit Hole gang. Like, we've got some of the biggest buyers and sellers and collectors of Bored Apes in the world. When you add in like James Booth and Jack Cal, and obviously Drew and Alan Dunn, and between Shane, Josh, and myself, we throw a few more of our squad in there, and it's we're heavy in the BAYC. And
did any of you go to the LA meetup?
No, because no one's out there for that, but I think that's what's wild though. There's more and more. There was a Denver meetup, there was New York City. I mean, and then Chicago, and then they're also having these events online now where they're even doing performances online, like this CryptoPunk rapper Spotty did a show. Pretty soon we're gonna have our apes are gonna have drop their track. And which is happening, Josh. It's happening, man. I know you keep saying it's taking too long, but it's coming. And so they're literally
I already gave up hope, man, to be honest.
It's gonna make it all that much better when it finally comes out.
I also think at no reserve that homeschooling.org is a good name.
Yeah, I had that one highlighted as well. That's a good name.
Yeah, and I think the thing about homeschooling too, it's like these are trends. Back in the day, homeschooling was not as popular nowadays, and especially here where we are in Florida. I mean, I actually own homeschoolgroups.com, and I think that because it's one of those things where the sort of the whole industry that's built up around that now, where because you not only have the classes and whether it's Florida virtual, for us here, as the way to get the content, but then you've got these groups and different support systems based around homeschooling your kids. So you don't send your kids necessarily to school, but they do all sorts of stuff to make sure they get the proper social interaction and extracurricular stuff and crafts and sports and everything else. So that's its own cottage industry that continues to evolve too. And I think when you look at trends and things, that's pretty cool. So also another good one, man. I also like canned goods. I kind of like that one a little bit at no reserve.
Prepper one.
Prepper, that's a prepper name for anybody who's trying to like exactly.
Sportsfan.com is a big name, especially
nice.
with what's going on with the online betting.
Dude, I mean,
fantasy football and fantasy sports in general, and what's going on with the investments that the casinos are making into the sports betting side of things, and vice versa. DraftKings.
Yeah, we do
Penn Gaming, huge. So we think that we're going to draw some end user traffic for something like that.
I would hope so. I mean, because here's why, and I think paparazzi is also another one too, is kind of, you get this like TMZ sort of effect and things like that. That
they're all in front of your house right now, JT. I can see them through the window
constantly, right, man. What I mean? I always got to leave out the back.
Taking pictures.
The nice thing is I can summon my Tesla to come around the back and then I just take off. You know what I mean? But yeah, so good to the point about Sports Fan, which I think is great. And this is going to also, all roads kind of lead to NFTs as well. But, DraftKings bought a Bored Ape and, and they're actually doing a contest. I think it was this coming weekend, maybe, where if you win the big, the big challenge, you get gifted the Bored Ape, which is pretty wild. These guys they really get it. But yeah, and I think when we do very well at media options with gaming domain names and, on the brokerage side, and so we know for a fact, I mean, there is a lot of activity taking place in and around that space, and both sports betting and just gambling and poker and all that kind of stuff in general. And, and now you've got this sort of combination of this online piece, more of the, the more of the NFT application, crypto applications tying into some of the betting. When you get the gamification, I mean, you talk about, we got Josh, who is a Zed Run aficionado, which is for you. Are you guys familiar with what Zed Run is, Monty?
That's the horse racing, right?
Yeah,
Virtual
digital.
horse
It's basically
racing.
digital horse racing.
Yeah.
So he's got his horses that he races and breeds. He studs. He's got a horse that is a, what is it? Phenomena? Are you breeding Phenomena right now? What's going on?
Phenomena is a bred horse. She was bred, and she's one of the best horses in the game. She's won races that gave her 1.5 Ethereum in winnings, like good amount of money. But yeah, I mean, I've got a stud, a horse, just an NFT. He cost like 30 Ethereum. He's probably worth like 45 to 50 right now. And then
and that's, by the way,
people want to breed with him, they go pay like one Ethereum. Yeah.
Does that come with the hot? Does that come with the hot towel?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I heard he's a really good breeder. So many ways.
But that's the thing. And if you think about what 50 Ethereum, I mean, that's $170,000, $175,000 in actual cash that horse is worth now within the game. And so again, as you get the gamification of a lot of these things, because that's what a lot of people are waiting for too with these NFTs, is the utility. And this goes back to what I was saying, and the correlation where domain names have incredible utility right out the gate. You don't even have to pretend. All you have to do is just, recognize like what the terms and where the value lies. And it's obvious now with some of these NFTs. It's obvious now what that utility is. In some cases, you get these other drops, this additional stuff. You might get tokens. You might get, access to other things. The hundreds just did one that is, they did the bombs, the atom bombs that they did that will supposedly get you early access for, clothing drops and sneaker drops and things like that. So, but with it, but I do think the sports, the gambling, and that kind of stuff is where there's an enormous opportunity. And that's why these domains also provide that incredible opportunity. So, and sports.
One thing I was
ahead.
going to say on that topic is, like, I think from if you're an investor in the digital space right now, and from the outside looking in, just, you got to think to yourself, like, NFTs are either overvalued or domains are undervalued right now. Mm-hmm. And if you don't think NFTs are overvalued, there's no better time than to buy domains, right? Yeah. So, and I think that's probably a fair argument. I think it's a fair argument to say that the domains are clearly undervalued when you look at other things in the space.
Yeah, agreed.
So I see that you have my boy Biggie Small up on your wall. I know you're a hip hop lover, right?
That's right, man. So
just a little lead in. That's a little announcement for your show. But Scott and I and our boy Jeff Newman, who started New Star, .biz, we invested in .hip hop, the new domain extension.
Oh,
and
cool.
it happens to be on the ENS network, and we are going to meld the value of a domain name and the value of the blockchain together, and allow artists and songwriters and producers and distributors to drop their music on their own website and drive their fan base to that first before they go to a public place and really have ownership of their digital assets and their music.
I love it, man.
Right.
Awesome.
So,
good for you guys.
A lot of exciting news is yet to come, but since we're talking about the melding of what is a domain name and NFT, or can it be used digitally and NFT together? Well, we're gonna combine all that together and have some really cool things coming in the next.
All right, awesome, man. That's great. Well, shout out to Jeff Newman and New Star just recently. They just got acquired by TransUnion. Just bought them for $3.1 billion. Yep. So not bad if you're into that sort of thing, right? And
Jeff was there when they when they sold .co and .biz and the GoDaddy stuff, and then he broke out on his own and decided to join the team here, and we partnered with a publicly traded company called Digital Asset Monetary Network, and they're tied into the music industry, And so we're really excited about the future of .hip hop.
Awesome. Well, that's great, man. And I think that, it's funny because we are working on some music that we're going to be releasing as an NFT. And I think that, if you're able to create a, sort of an ecosystem or a platform so that, you get your website as well as a distribution sort of network or opportunity, all sort of assisted and, foundationally established on the blockchain. And if you can do it in a way that's, not just lip service to it, but effective and from a very, sort of strong utility standpoint, I think it sounds like a really, really cool thing, man. Well, congratulations and good luck to you guys, man. I'm excited to see how that all
next
plays
year,
out.
you're going to see some super premium .hip hop names on one of these lists.
All right, great. Let's get it.
As well with
awesome
with utility. So
yeah, awesome.
Really cool.
Well, that's fantastic. So with that, I think we're right about at time. So that's a perfect time to kind of roll that out for everybody. And then so one last time, just for all of the folks, watching. So again, it is Thursday, September 23rd, 3 p.m. Eastern time. The auction will begin. Go to NamesCon.com or NamesCon.online to sign up for the conference itself. Go to ROTD.hibid.com to sign up for the auction. Check out the names. You can get a sense of what they're, especially like I said, there's a lot here at no reserve that we're excited about. There's also a lot that are, priced with reserves, but are very, very much worth the investment, especially if you've got, play with the names, something to do with it, or a potential, end user that you want to target. So, a lot of opportunity and exciting stuff there. And so, yeah, man. So thanks guys for being here. Monty, Scott, Josh, as always. And I would also want to say thanks to the audience. I say it on every single show. If it wasn't for you, there'd be no us. So we appreciate you all being here with us here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. So guys, you have any final things to say before we call it? Like just to give you guys sort of a last kind of minute or so, if there's anything else that we haven't covered or that you can think of. And it doesn't have to be.
Well, we're really excited about the auction, and we're going to do everything we can to keep fluidity and liquidity in the market, and think that we have a really good selection of domain names here. And so everybody participate, and you won't be sorry if you buy one of these names, no matter what the price it is.
That's it. Making all your dreams come true here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains, with my man Monty Cahn, Scott Pruitt, Josh Reason, and me. So thanks again, everybody. And we will see y'all next time here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Peace out.
Yeah.